I talk a lot, I fly a lot, I win a lot.
Hello Rivals fans and welcome back to the Rivals Report, the show that gets you up to speed on Rivals esports news in a nice, bite-sized package. My name is Diatonic and this is the Rivals Report number 10 for the week of August 4th, 2025. On this week's report, our pre-China coverage comes to a close with a preview of the NA Powerhouse Trifecta. We've got highlights from the second week of competition in one of the major community leagues, and introducing our brand new Community Spotlight segment, where we're bringing you even more stories of people, teams, and events from across the Rivals community. This week marks our final round of coverage ahead of the upcoming Ignite mid-season finals in Guangzhou. We've been bringing you profiles on every single team competing in this event, and we're here with the last, but certainly not least, of these competitors. This week, we're focusing on the NA Powerhouse Trifecta: Envy, 100 Thieves, and the Stage 1 champions, Sentinels. If you've ever played Dungeons & Dragons or similar tabletop RPGs, then you're likely familiar with the concept of alignments, or more specifically, the horizontal axis of alignment, lawful versus chaotic. This scale simply refers to whether a character in those games is likely to follow the letter of the law or fly in the face of the law. It's not necessarily about good versus evil, at least not on the horizontal axis. I feel that these three teams can be categorized using this alignment system, with Sentinels as the lawful team, Envy as the neutral team, and the Thieves as the chaotic team. Let's start with neutrality on our pre-China coverage and talk about the Stage 1 third place finishers, Envy. A neutral team is one that doesn't see law or chaos by themselves as a necessity. They feel that the world needs a bit of both. Envy is a team that's just as likely to beat you clean and give you a friendly handshake as they are to dive right into a fierce, gritty rivalry with an enemy team that rubs them the wrong way. They won't necessarily start the fight, but they'll do what they have to finish it. Envy's Cal has even gone on record saying that they're done with the nice act.
Trying to have some fun. I'm done being Mr. Nice Guy. I'm done being nice. We're gonna win everything. It's destined. It'll happen.
Envy was initially signed back on March 4th, and the original squad struggled to gain momentum in the competitive Rivals space. They were bested by 100 Thieves on more than one occasion at Rivals Fight Night, and came in 4th place during the Marvel Rivals Invitational after falling victim to FlyQuest. Original members Paintbrush, Sleepy, and Space would all depart in April, and in May, the player who would eventually become the coach of 100 Thieves, iRemix, departed as well. They'd be replaced by players like Kaluge, Nero, Month, Speedery, and Window, where the squad would begin finding some runaway success. They were initially invited to Stage 1 thanks to their performance in the aforementioned Rivals Invitational, but not before racking up multiple wins against 100 Thieves, who were quickly becoming one of Envy's greatest rivals. They'd defeat Solaris and Ego Death in the group stage, which would pit them against 100 Thieves in the upper bracket finals of the group stage. They had just started to surpass the Thieves in overall wins between the two of them, but the Thieves would pick up the win there. But their performance was enough to land a spot in playoffs, and they'd unfortunately start with a loss against Sentinels. But that loss would kick off an absolutely generational run through the lower bracket for Envy, winning their rematch against FlyQuest, defeating Ego Death and Shroud X along the way as well. They'd come face to face with their rivals once more in the lower bracket finals, with Envy and Thieves dead even at 3 wins apiece. But the Thieves had their number in this match, and after falling 0-3, they'd be out of the tournament, but survived long enough to qualify for the mid-season finals. Envy have always shown themselves to play ahead of the meta curve. They were one of the first teams to experiment with the Jeff and Storm Jeff NATO team up in a competitive match, and used it to carry themselves to their massive 3-0 win over the 100 Thieves at Rivals Fight Night 14. They were quick to pivot over to poke and pressure heavy comps when the flyer meta was still being experimented with as Season 2 rolled around. Kaluge often leads the charge for his team, anchoring in the front lines and leveraging his prior experience as a competitive Overwatch player. Speedery was a new pickup before they played in the Shroud Gauntlet, but was one of the MVPs in that tournament, utilizing an aggressive hero pool and consistently clutch positioning. Envy has been known to engage in a bit of barb trading and trash talking, but it's rare that you'll find them picking those fights. They generally leave that to their more chaotic counterparts, the 100 Thieves. But be warned, chaotic doesn't necessarily mean evil. Chaotic teams are opposed to the status quo, tend to act of their own volition or desire, and disregard the social norms. Chaotic beings are mold breakers, and no team in the Ignite circuit better exemplifies that, in my opinion, than the Thieves. They've been known to stir up trouble from time to time, but have the prowess to back up the trash talk. The 100 Thieves rival squad was born when they signed the former in-game faction Mutants, a team that had already made a name for themselves long before the org came into the picture. They dominated in the Season 0 MRC and the Battle for Asgard Invitational as well, and carried the team chemistry they'd built so early on into their future battles as 100 Thieves. Coached by former Envy player iRemix and Millennia, it wasn't long before they started picking up big wins left and right, defeating other strong NA teams such as Sentinels and Shroud X early on. They'd also clock a second place finish in the Season 1 MRC, which was their ticket into Stage 1 of Ignite. Their campaign through the group stage would see them winning every single match without dropping a single map, save for the finals where they'd fall in an 0-3 heartbreaker against FlyQuest. But their performance was more than enough to qualify them into the playoffs, where they'd immediately reignite their path of destruction by taking down ShroudX and Ego Death right out of the gate. They struggled against Sentinels, as those two teams have been known to trade wins as well, but they'd eventually fall in a 2-3 win that sent Sentinels on to the grand finals. They'd have to retread old ground against their rivals Envy in the lower bracket finals, but it was a clean 3-0 sweep that'd give them the rematch against Sentinels. The Thieves struggled against the Sentinels' signature Adam Warlock res comp in this final series, and they certainly fought hard, but they'd be taken down in a 3-4 bloodbath by the end. The Thieves let the strategists call the shots, with SJP and Harvey dishing out commands while the deadly DPS duo of Delena and Terra dish out heaps of damage to anyone in their path. The healers are the engine, but the duelists are truly the clip makers, with a myriad of insane plays from Terra's Winter Soldier and Delena's hitscan heroes across the internet. As previously mentioned, the Thieves like a bit of trash talk and have beef with both of their NA counterparts. During a slew of technical problems in the Rivals Invitational against Sentinels, 100 Thieves Vinny was quoted as wondering who actually thought there was any serious competition between these two teams, and SJP had accused Korova of saying both he and Harvey were bad players. Thieves and Envy have some history as well, which is unsurprising given that iRemix left Envy to go coach 100 Thieves, who have now become one of Envy's greatest thorns in the side.
Yo,
Wants to say something?
MB, it doesn't matter what you do, brother. You will never beat this team anymore. You gotta do better than that draft. You need to do way better, bro. You're not beating me, bro.
But where there is chaos, there must too be law. But lawful doesn't necessarily mean good either. Lawful beings are ones that adhere to a code of conduct, or some kind of moral compass that guides their decisions. They value structure and predictability, which in many ways can summarize the Stage 1 Ignite champions, Sentinels. This team exemplifies a deep camaraderie shown across the net by clips of genuinely wholesome moments amongst the team. They're generally seen in a positive light by the wider Rivals community as well. The team known as Sentinels today actually began their journey as Nightmare, jumping into the competitive scene as far back as the game's very first beta. Under the Nightmare banner, they claimed a number of big finishes, including wins at the Marvel Rivals Invitational and the Rivals Rumble. They came in second to Mutants in the Season 0 MRC, but would leave behind the Nightmare colors in February and join up with Sentinels in March. Like 100 Thieves, it was their MRC Season 1 victory that landed Sentinels in Stage 1 of Ignite, where they'd blaze a crimson path of destruction through every single team they faced. Well, almost every team, as Team Nemesis pulled out a surprise 3-2 upset over Sentinels in that last match. Regardless, that was enough to get them into the playoffs, where they looked absolutely unstoppable. Envy fell victim to them first, followed by Techie XD and the 100 Thieves. And just like that, Sentinels had secured themselves a spot in Grand Finals and in China for the mid-season finals. But the job wasn't done yet. They'd square off with the Thieves one last time in Grand Finals, an absolutely brutal back-and-forth set where they'd just barely eke out a win against the Thieves on Map 7, being crowned the Ignite Stage 1 champions. Sentinels are entering the mid-season finals as quite possibly the team with the strongest chemistry among their members, as these players seem more like family than most other teams.
Okay, I'm gonna do on the top now. This is the uncomfortable one. Look as far as you can in the corner. Yeah.
I think the boot camp buff is definitely real. Like, I mean, our practice all week was super high energy. Like, we all were able to like hold each other accountable, like in person, right? Like, Rymazing can't like sleep past our scrim start time if somebody's sharing a room with him and has to like drag him out of bed. So like, it's perfect. It works for us. It's good.
Not only that, but they may quite possibly be one of the most polished teams as well. They're led by their coach Crimzo, who brings past professional Overwatch experience to this team as well, and also on occasion will pull double duty as a Vanguard player. He's also engaged to Sentinels strategist Aramori, making them the first engaged couple in esports history to win a major tournament together. Aramori is a more than capable strategist player and contributes heavily to Sentinels' love of triple strategist comps, especially the Adam Warlock triple res strategy. That's further propped up by Super Gomez and Rymazing with some unbelievable duelist plays, leveraging hero synergy in a way that other teams simply can't keep up with. And with that, our pre-mid-season finals coverage draws to a close. We've given you an inside look at every single team competing and hope that you're feeling more prepared to watch the action unfold from August 6th through the 10th. But if you want even more info about the upcoming first ever Marvel Rivals LAN tournament, be sure to check out our mid-season finals format guide. We talk about how the tournament works, what's at stake, and the first matchups we'll be seeing. And of course, if you want info about the other teams from the other competing regions, be sure to check out the Rivals Report number 8 and number 9 as well. While the MSF qualified teams descend upon China to get ready for battle, the potential future stars of Rivals Ignite duked it out in yet another weekend of exciting Ascension League action. I had the honor of being back in the booth once again with Zeus to bring you EMEA Day 3 action, and there were some real marquee matchups in the final weekend of preliminaries. As part of the second week matchups, two titans of competitive rivals clashed in the Ascension Arena as Dawncore took on Insomnia Esports, two teams with a growing list of competitive achievements behind their names. Dawncore has been featured on the Rivals Report in the past, as champions of Engage's Grassroots Weekly and as a top 8 finisher in the Season 2 MRC. Insomnia were one of the teams competing in Stage 1 of Ignite. They clocked a 2-2 finish in the group stage that carried them on to the playoffs and automatically qualified them for Stage 2 later in September. Both teams, in their own right, are certainly forces to be reckoned with. But what exactly does a clash of teams of this caliber look like? And how would a team like Dawncore, who's been dominant at the Tier 2 and 3 level of Rivals competition, handle an opponent that's cut their teeth playing against the best of the best? The match kicked off on Krakoa for Map 1, with Dawncore somehow emerging from the ban phase with an open human torch that Frostin very quickly snatched up. That would be a big key to their dominance on this first map, snagging KO after KO from above while Insomnia melted on the ground. Insomnia didn't go down without a fight though, taking Dawncore to the limit on both points. But as the chips fell, it will be Dawncore emerging victorious on the Mutant Haven and running away with the first map for themselves. But the stats at the end of the match would tell you just how close of a fight it was, and Insomnia came into map number 2 hungry to get things going. Demon was in the driver's seat on Wolverine as we traveled to Central Park, helping to lead Insomnia to a whirlwind offensive run in round 1. It was Forever's Emma Frost that got the ball rolling though, scoring a massive multi-kill right out of the gate and having over 5 minutes in the bank after unlocking their payload. And that's not even to mention Insomnia's utilization of the Atomic Fastball team up here. All these things played into a huge map 2 win for the Ignite team. One last chance for Dawncore to make a huge splash and down their first Ignite squad as we move to Spider Islands for map number 3. But just as Dawncore were trying to hold the door to victory open, it felt as though every member of Insomnia moved to slam it shut on them. Insomnia chained together numerous huge teamfight wins, ace after ace, as their payload was completely unstoppable from start to finish. Make no mistake, Dawncore is certainly a threat in this tournament, but this was Insomnia's opportunity to send a message to Dawncore and to the rest of the teams in the Ascension League. We're on another level. It was an uncharacteristic big loss for Dawncore, but that victory left Insomnia with a 3-0 record out of the B group and secured their spot as the first seed team in that group. On the other side of the aisle, MRC champs Ex Oblivion also clocked a flawless record, and they too will skip straight ahead to the semifinals on this coming Sunday. Dawncore and Ascended both ended their preliminary runs with a respectable 2-1 record after Ascended defeated Think Twice but fell victim to EXO on Saturday. Think Twice and Planet Saneage both snagged their first wins over the weekend, ending 1-2. And Groot FN and PCS Jeong were still left hunting for their first wins, going 0-3. EMEA playoffs begin on Saturday, with Ascended taking on Planet Saneage, Dawncore crossing paths with Think Twice, and PCSZ going up against Groot FN in a single elimination bracket. Ex Oblivion and Insomnia are both waiting for the winners of those first 2 matches on Sunday. Over on the NA side, Busy at Work snagged the Group A first seed for themselves. They might be a lesser known quantity in the PC space, but over on console Marvel Rivals, this team has won not only the Season 1 MRC, but the Season 2 MRC as well. In Group B, Project Blue Lock managed to secure their first seed spot before even playing their last match against the Ascension 1 season runners-up Necospresso. That didn't stop them from going on to a massive final win though, locking in a bulletproof 4-0 record with no maps dropped throughout the preliminaries. The Atlanta Phoenix Guard, Double Tap, and Ascension Season 1 champs Noir all closed out prelims with solid 3-1 records. Last season's runners-up Necospresso ended on a 2-2 record after that loss to Blue Lock. Calamity and Ghost Fog took 1 win apiece, and Ultralight and Aeronite were left with 0-4 records. On Sunday, Atlanta Phoenix will take on Necospresso, Double Tap will go up against Noir, Ghost Fog will fight Ultralight, and Calamity and Aeronite will do battle. The NA and EMEA leagues both have 1 weekend of action remaining, with playoffs taking place this coming Saturday and Sunday. We'll be back with those results for you on next week's Rivals Report, and later in the month, we'll have even more Ascension League coverage for you as Ascension heads south for the South America Invitational, where 10 of the most talented LATAM teams will enter the fray. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a second of the action from the Rivals Ascension League. Zeus, we got any last words for the teams competing in NA later or EMEA tomorrow?
It's fantastic.
Say that again. And finally this week, we're introducing our brand new Community Spotlight segment, where we select a person, team, or event happening in the Rivals community and do a deep dive to bring you more info about what's happening right in your backyard. This week, we're focusing on a weekly tournament series designed to build teamwork skills while giving players a taste of what it's like to play in a LAN tournament. Welcome to Infinite Clash at the HyperX Arena.
there's not really many LANs going on in this whole entire setup in terms of being stream production or otherwise. We are the first to do it, and that's a consistent message across the board time and time again. And for us to do this Marvel Rivals tournament and have a pretty good showing.
The HyperX Arena is a multi-story esports tournament venue built inside the Luxor Hotel in Las Vegas. It's home to both a game lounge for guests to enjoy some casual gaming and the arena itself, a 30,000 square foot competitive battleground where they host a number of weekly events for multiple games. Whether you're looking for a bit of a gaming break while exploring the Las Vegas Strip or looking for a place to cut your teeth in some competitive gaming, the HyperX Arena is certainly worth a look. Infinite Clash is the arena's weekly Rivals tournament series, inclusive of both newcomers as well as veterans. Some parts of the tournament are pretty standard, but there are more than a few interesting and creative twists that create a unique experience beyond just playing in person and in a competitive esports facility. Each Infinite Clash is split into 2 segments, the group stage and the finals. Teams will play anywhere from 4 to 6 matches in the group stage, vying for wins and to have a good enough record to qualify for the finals. The finals was initially a separate bracket consisting of the top teams from the group stage, but has recently changed to be a best of 5 set between the 2 teams with the highest seeding. But how exactly those teams are formed is where the twists begin. You don't register as a full 6-man squad for this event. Instead, you register either as a trio or a solo player. So you can either enter the arena with 2 of your close friends, or try your luck as a solo player where you'll be placed with 2 other soloists. For each match in the group stage, 2 trios are combined into a full team of 6, and they play against a similarly paired team. When your team wins, both trios that made up that team receive a point. The 4 trios with the most points at the end of the group stage will be combined into 2 teams for the finals. The Infinite Clash tournaments are still relatively new, having been hosted consistently over the past 2 to 3 months. But the turnout is already impressive, with tournament staff reporting somewhere around 20 to 30 players attending regularly. But perhaps the biggest twist about Infinite Clash is that the team behind it is currently testing and planning to eventually move to a hybrid LAN and online setup. That means regardless of if you're in the Vegas area, you'll have a chance to play in these events very soon as well. The HyperX Arena team are continually looking to grow this series as well, looking to leverage their state-of-the-art esports production studio to provide regular broadcasts of these events, and of course are looking to continue expanding in the future. For more info on Infinite Clash and everything else the HyperX Arena has to offer, check out their website at hyperxarenalasvegas.com. We're excited to bring you even more community-focused stories every single week going forward. If you know of a person, team, or event in the Rivals community that needs their voice heard, please let us know. Leave a comment on this video, DM me over on X, or send an email to diatonicrivals@gmail.com. Well, that's all for this week's Rivals Report. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on the latest in Rivals Esports. And be sure to follow me on other platforms including Twitch, X, and TikTok. And if you're looking to break into Rivals Esports yourself, look no further than Engage. They're an organization that looks to empower esports players through event hosting and production. They're also the minds behind some Rivals community tournaments like the Chronovium Cup and the Rivals Grassroots Weekly. For all things Engage, keep it tuned to their website at engage.gg. I've been Diatonic, you've been amazing, and I'll see you in game.